Hello. Sorry, it's been a while since I've been on this software for going live, and there are a lot of windows, and I was just trying to figure out how I could tell if I was live or not, and I've just found it. So, hello to anyone who's uh, arrived, and uh, uh, it's very likely that people will arrive at different times. Um, I'm Kim Lee Ko, and you're on my channel, so you must know that. And uh, this year, I am, after years of having to downscale my professional activities, I'm in a position now where I can upscale them. And one of the things I want to do is more frequent live streams like this. And I thought I would focus on just doing some mixed media, like I'm spending some time in my studio. It's studio time with Kim Lee Ko, after all, and so I'll be improvising. I have germs of ideas of starting points in my head, but that's it. Nothing developed, nothing fancy. So please say hi in the chat if you're able, and let me know where you're coming in from. I thought I would start off sharing a few supplies I've recently acquired, and one or two that I acquired in South Korea when I visited last fall. So why don't I start with the ones I got in South Korea, because I was amazed to get actual Sakura Jelly Roll gel pens at the equivalent at a dollar store. Basically, it's called Daiso, and everything there is, I believe, a maximum of 3,000 Korean won. Maybe it's 5,000 Korean won, but in Canadian dollars it's 1,000 won per dollar. In US dollars it's maybe 1,000 won for 3/5 of a dollar. So 3 pens for 3,000 won. So when I go back, I'm going to look for more because that is so cheap compared to how much they cost. I got metallic gold, metallic silver, and my favorite, white. Although I also have really taken to metallics in recent years. So that was my first great find there. Something else I bought, it looks like they're actually Chinese, but I bought them at a traditional Korean art supply store. It was fantastic. It was filled with tons of traditional brushes and paper, as well as huge ink stones. Oh my God, I wanted to bring home ink stones so badly. I'm not sure where I'd put a huge inkstone, but I'd find a way. Hang it on the wall, maybe. So what I got are these watercolor pans, and they're just such delicious colors. There. So I think I exercised a lot of restraint only getting these 4. And I look forward to using them. I'm not sure I'll use them today. I'm going to be doing some mixed media today, but I think I'll save that for its own live stream. Something else I got. Where did I even get these? This National Portrait Gallery. You know what? I think I must have found them in I was sorting through some things, and I must have picked these up when I was at the National Portrait Gallery, and they're replicas of vintage ephemera, like a Cunard information for passengers, a line tour guide, a luncheon menu from a railway, postcards, all kinds of fun things. There's a tag in there too. Let's see. Maybe I should switch my camera. I'll lay them out on my desk here. Okay. Let's switch over. I don't know why that looks so dim. I have such strong lights on. It shouldn't look dim at all. Oh well. Hopefully you can see. There, that's better. Much better. Okay, let's pull this out. I've never opened this. And I have no idea what I use them for. I do have a thing for vintage travel ephemera. Vintage ephemera in general, but please excuse my chronic cough. Merchant Ships of the World. The lovely vintage typography and illustrations. Here's a classic ship. What's that? RMS Queen Mary Cabin Children's Playroom. Let's get it to focus. There we go. Huh. Anyway, that's fun. And a couple of larger trading card type ships with information. So these are famous British liners. That's fun. The baggage check. Here's the program. I remember my grandmother having printed things like this, with this kind of border and typography. This is a postcard. Oh, it's fun because they've got the postcard, but they also have reproduced an actual written postcard. Landing card. Landing arrangements. Ooh, cabaret and dance. And this lovely tag. This is just printed on here. It's not the actual raised kind. Although you could glue that on yourself and punch it yourself if you have the means. General information for all passengers. Very important. Printed in gold ink. Explaining everything. Commodore G.E. Cove presents his compliments to Mr. Sidney G. Hearn and requests the pleasure of his company in his quarters for cocktails. Isn't that nice? My grandmother used to go on cruises, and it was a big deal to sit at the captain's table. Photographs from the inside of the liner. There's a nice brochure. Oh, and here are all the dates and locations, stopping points. And it's printed on coated paper like a proper brochure. luncheon menu. Grill, sheep's kidneys and bacon to order. So this is the Golden Age of Cruise Liners replica pack. And then they have these other collections apparently. So it shows you what's in it. Well, that was fun. I bought this years ago. Like, I haven't been in the UK in so many years. This is what happens when I sort through things. I find treasures, so that's a lovely one to find. So I thought today's live stream would be an excellent opportunity to and excuse to get it open finally and take a look. Yeah, I'm not even going to try putting it back in that bag. It's very snug. So I'll just put it over there. Okay. The final thing I wanted to share is something I got really recently, like just a couple of days ago. No, yesterday, in fact. And that's this. It's a partner and I were buying some things in Walmart, and I saw this set, and I actually first saw the set that's twice this size, and it's acrylic paint. It's Royal and Langnickel Essentials, and this set of 12 small tubes was, I think, $7 and something, so just under $8, and that's incredibly affordable. There are the tubes. Doesn't say on the front how many ounces or milliliters they have. I'm going to open it up. Now, I have a wide range of paints, a lot of paints, and a lot of acrylic mediums, and I have a big collection of professional quality acrylics. But when I'm gel plate printing, for example, I will use Liquitex Basics most often, but I also do use professional paints in the form of Golden Open acrylics. There you can see open acrylics, which have a longer open time. Sometimes people who are oil painters who, for whatever reason, want to try acrylics or transition to acrylics will work with these. Doesn't necessarily feel the same as oil paints, but it won't dry on them all of a sudden the way normal acrylic paints will, especially if it's wintertime and you're in central heating. Pardon me. All right. So I thought it'd be fun to try these out and just see how good they are for inexpensive paints. Some really cheap and cheerful paints actually are quite terrible. Like the pigments they use are very poor quality. Maybe I should switch to my face here. Like the pigments they use are super poor quality, and they have fillers. The pigment maybe isn't ground very fine. Even the binder, the acrylic polymer, is really lousy, and so you can actually get very people aren't going to generally fall in love with acrylics if they use the really cheap versions, because there's no luster to it, there's no depth to the color. But the Liquitex Basics paints I'm using are not professional grade, and clearly neither are these. So why don't I see what this is like compared to the Basics, at least. I've got some watercolor paper here, and I'll switch to the overhead camera. Hello. Thank you for joining me. If you're not feeling shy, please say hi in the chat. Okay, so I'll start with the Liquitex Basics. Quinacridone Magenta. And I'm just going to drag it across. See what kind of coverage it gives. Oops. I forgot to put my apron on. Just a moment while I get that on so I don't get paint all over myself. Something might be my greatest talent. There we go. Clean this off before I... I will spread less paint with this one because it is a very small tube, so I don't want to use up half the tube. Perfectly good size for gel plate printing, though, because you need so little paint. Unless you're working with a very large plate. Well, I don't know. Looks pretty comparable. And one thing I like about it is the colors. This magenta is a little bit brighter than this magenta, and makes a difference. It actually feels more magenta-y. You know, my first career was as a graphic designer during the era when print was the reigning monarch of media for designing. Of course, there was television and so on, but print really was the dominant medium. And so we worked a lot with process colors, which included cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. And this reminds me more of the magenta I worked with than this one does. So that's really interesting. So far, I like it. Now let's see how it does with a... Oh, they have a primary cyan in the set. I'll put the set here where you can see it. And yeah, primary cyan. See how little of that looks. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, very nice. And there's a color I actually want to work with today. I might mix it with a bit of magenta. But it's the cadmium red. Strictly speaking, this is going to be cadmium red hue because at this price, it's definitely not real cadmium, and real cadmium is not healthy to work with anyway. Okay, so let's try the cadmium red. Well, that looks good. I like the vibrancy of their colors. So for those who've just joined me, I bought this set of Royal and Langnickel Essentials, small tubes, at Walmart in Canada. And it was incredibly affordable. And I thought, I'm going to pick these up and try them out because someone, a student of mine, had told me that they had used them in gel plate printmaking and that they were a viable option. So that's why I thought I would test them out a little bit today. And I'm quite pleased with that red. So I have an idea of something I want to do today, and I think I'll use that red for it. So yeah, so 12 tubes. Does it say how? Yes, 12 milliliters or 0.4 US fluid ounces. Perfectly good size though if you're working small, doing an altered book, doing gel plate printmaking, you know. It's or or for traveling. That's a nice small amount. You might have to take fewer tubes, but depending on how you're traveling. If you're trying to get it to fit into your liquids container, then you'll have to be very sparing. I'm just going to get out a fresh piece of watercolor paper because I'm going to use it as a pad for underneath the papers I'm going to work on. I have a whole bunch of different papers with me today. This is just cheap and cheerful watercolor paper, 140 pound, but makes a great sort of blotting paper. I'm going to pull out some of the papers I have and just share what they are. I don't have time to work with all of them today, but I gathered all of these. So this is it has Chinese characters, but this is Japanese here. And it says made in Japan down here. And it's a roll of paper presumably for lettering or for brush painting with ink. And, just a nice small roll. What is that, like 10 inches? It's 10 inches that way by a long distance that way. I have a package here of wet strength tissue that the daughter of a friend of mine hauled back with her from the UK because at the time that she went, wet strength tissue on Amazon cost a fortune. So we went in on a package together, and this is my share. And I haven't used it yet, so I thought that would be sort of fun. I have this special red paper that's a Chinese paper. Wow, look how... Okay, let's try and get this to focus, shall we? Hello, camera. What is going on? Can we please bring this in focus? I think the intensity of the color sort of threw it off. Okay, so yeah, it is a very intense red color, and it is red is used for Chinese New Year or Lunar New Year and for weddings and other auspicious occasions. You can see it's not red on both sides, but it's sort of interesting. And then I have a roll of tea bag paper. it out. Well, it's rolled up, but it's actually big sheets. And there's translucency to it. Some of you may be familiar with tea bag paper already. And it has good wet strength, and I'm always looking for papers that have that. But also, here we are. So how many inches is that? 16 inches. 16 and a half inches square, I think, is the size of this sheet. And the roll came with a lot there. You can see how translucent it is. So I actually think I'll start with that. Just roll this up a little bit so I can put it aside. It's a little more ungainly than I would prefer. Okay. Oh. I thought it would be nice to work with some ink. I better move these out of the way. I have some India ink wash that I've collected in this old paint bottle or medium bottle. And I'll just get myself a brush. Oops. Dip it in water so I can work with it. Okay. Where's my paper towel? I like porcelain palettes, and they're pleasant to work with, and they're easy to clean. So this will turn out gray, but I don't know how light or dark the gray will be because it has a collection from various times. So we'll just try it out. What I want to do is just activate some paper so I can use it. Maybe cut it up and collage it. Just a little bit more. There. I'll move that aside over a little bit. That's impressive. It didn't bleed through. I wasn't sure about that. I thought it was likely to bleed through, but okay. Where's my water? There it is. Now, actually, I'll move it over here so that I can pull out some paper. This paper is just premium bond. It's a heavier weight than most office and copy paper. It's uncoated, but it's designed for color laser prints, colored copies. You can also use it in an inkjet printer. It just doesn't have special inkjet coating, so the results are different than on an inkjet coated paper, but it's excellent paper. It's acid free. It's usually acid free and lignin free, so for those of you who are interested in the longevity of your art materials, this is actually pretty good. So I had this thought, I should get a pencil out. There we go. I had this thought about making a stencil that's of like kind of like a stack of pebbles. There. A precarious stack of pebbles. And so now I'll cut it out. I just snapped off a blade before I started the live, so I have a nice sharp blade to work with. And this shape is what I imagined painting in red. There. Oh, there's my stencil. And there's a mask I can use too if I wish. So, put that aside. My blotter paper again. And my tea bag paper. Oh, actually, I'm going to do this on a fresh sheet. All right. Sorry, just 1 second. I'm just tying my apron at my back because it was coming undone. Okay. So white on white, it's not exactly making for a compelling image on the screen, but as soon as I get painting, putting the paint in, it will be. So I have a problem with my fingernails being very weak. So I'm putting some gloves on just for that reason. Oh, and let's get some focus going, shall we? Hello. Let's maybe, will this help? I don't know why the focus decided to disappear, but that seems to have improved it. Okay, now I'll get out the CAD red. And going to use this foam poncer, I think it's called. I just use the things. I don't always know the names of them. I think it is called a poncer though. Okay, so let's load up the, get some more paint on there. Something about this reminds me of when I was growing up watching a documentary on the printmakers in Cape Dorset in the Arctic. That's funny that memory should come back. I haven't thought about that for a long time. But they, I think they mostly do stone lithographs, if I'm not mistaken. I love stencils because it focuses the creator's mind and eye on shape and pattern, which can also include visual texture. I'll get some of those edges more opaque. They don't have to be perfectly opaque, but I just want a good, clear sense of those edges. since that's how we perceive the shape. Okay, let's take a look. Here we go. That just needs to dry a bit, and I will put this in water. Now, while I'm waiting for that, I'll set this aside to dry. And I'll get this ink paper I was working on earlier. This time, so I'm to pour off some of this wash. There we go. And get some full strength India ink. Put that in the palette. Dust off my paper, not quite sure how it got dusty, and load up the brush. Okay. Oh, delicious. This is like working with Chinese or Japanese paper, presumably also like Korean paper, in the sense that it just takes the ink so beautifully. So just reiterate, this is tea bag paper, but tea bag paper that's meant for art. Artists have been experimenting with so many different kinds of papers, like medical examination table paper and coffee filters and deli paper, of course, and yeah. I don't use as much deli paper as I used to. This kind of paper and East Asian papers take wet media so well. Okay. So that needs to dry, but I'm just gonna, whoops, don't fold on yourself. Okay, there we go. Flip it around here. For those who like to get artist references, this is sort of reminding me of stuff Bryce Marden does and did. Get my Chinese brush out again. Squeeze some of the water out of it. Just have it be damp instead of full of water, so I don't really want it to dilute this. All right, let's do a little meandery path in black ink now. feel a little bit warmed up now. This is one of my favorite kinds of mark making, just because it's whimsical, it's fun. There. Well, that's quite nice. Maybe just a little bit more up here. Continue it from that. Yeah. There we go. All right, so I've got 3 things drying now. I'm going to do another layer on this. Oops. Some of the ink did go through on that because it's so saturated. So yeah, my blotter paper has some ink on it. Okay. It looks like my red shape is just about dry now. I think what I'll do is I'll cut this off. Try not to knock over my drink. So I can work on these 2 sections separately. Put that aside, and maybe I'll just blot some of this. It's a little bit that's sort of puddled there, because that was extra heavy application, I guess. I'll blot this too, so it can dry more quickly. And while that dries, I'll get out my paint pens. I have a whole lot of paint pens. Not nearly enough, of course, because how can you possibly have enough paint pens? But there we go. Here's my set of white Posca paint markers. Oh, just take a drink. So I should think while this finishes drying, I should give some thought. I would like to do some mark making on this one too, but I want it to be, you know, I could do similar mark making except with pens. That's a possibility. Or I could do something that's quite different, like a different scale, or different mark entirely, or it could be sort of different in energy without being, you know, 1000% different in character. Because I mean, the opposite to this sort of loopy, meandery thing would be something angular, and that could be fun. I wonder. Think about that. Like if I were doing angular, I could do something like that. Or I could do overlapping triangles. I could do rows of triangles. That might be interesting, actually. Okay, what is this? I don't think this is the, no, I don't want a brush pen. I want, what's this tip like? Yeah, I think that might be good. So move this aside somewhere. I've moved so many things aside, it's getting a little difficult, but I'm going to keep trying. All right. Now I think that one of the ways I can do this sort of efficiently, you know, efficiency, it's the primary driver. No, it isn't, but I am planning to draw a lot of triangles, so there is some desire for efficiency. Okay, so I'm going to have a baseline for my row, and now it's a question of what scale do I want these triangles to be. Maybe that would be a good size. I'll do it at that kind of offset there. This makes me think of African mud cloth now that I'm doing it. I'm not sure how mud is, what the process is and why mud, how mud is involved, but it does, they do make it in beautiful patterns on black with a not quite white, white lines, making beautiful patterns on it. Such a stunning graphic sense I have. I think I need to make it a little less tall. Quite meditative doing something repetitive like this. Not doing it as if it's a race, just doing it at a natural pace. so that you can pay attention while doing it, or whatever equivalent thing you're doing that's repetitive. But it will still have the charm of the handmade. Which seems to me is becoming more and more precious. I remember when I got in on computerized graphic design quite early on, and watching that unfold, and it was like, oh, finally we can easily do some of the things that were hard to do by hand, that were really technical and slick, and trying to emulate machines but doing it by hand. And then we had computers that could do it, that we could do it with. I should emphasize, the computer is not doing anything on its own. We used it as a tool in order to do it. And there was the initial appeal of that, and the power, like, wow, I can finally do this. Wow, that's so cool. And then it just got kind of boring, because the handmade is less predictable, and it has warmth and humanity to it, and so on. And so to this day, there are all these different resources and resources for designers and artists, and ways in which designers and artists use the digital but make it feel distressed and irregular and handmade or beaten up. Like, when you see videos that make the film look like it's overexposed and the colors have faded and has scratches and dust on it and so on. It's the same thing, just in video form. And there's something quite appealing about it, because we're attracted to the evidence of time, the evidence of a human hand, and to things that are not 100% predictable. Like, this is an exceedingly regular pattern, but because I'm drawing it loosely by hand, everywhere you look in the pattern, you'll see things squishing and stretching and yeah, I mean, that's pretty tall, so that's going to be like that. I love the sheen that India ink has. Can you see that? There. Yeah. And that's because it uses the, it has shellac in it. Traditionally, it's made with carbon from burning something. I don't know, I can't remember what traditionally would be burnt to make India ink, but shellac comes from a beetle. So it's a very old medium. Same with Chinese ink, well, and East Asian ink in general, but in China, I believe it's a similar process, but there are variations. Like the red ink used for seals is made quite differently. It's quite involved, making nice paste. And I watched a documentary recently on the making of $1,000 ink, which was the red pasty ink that the emperor used to use for his seal. And it took years to make. It had to part of the formula had to be buried underground for 6 years or something to turn into the right consistency. Quite extraordinary. Once again, please excuse my chronic cough. Well, it's too bad we don't have a lively chat today, because that would be fun to be talking with you. I thought I'd do another live stream in March, and maybe that one I'll do simultaneously on Instagram and YouTube. Because I know people are busy and sometimes forget or not available, but they have a few minutes when they're on Instagram, and so they'll pop in. I really like how that's turning out. That reminds me, this is surface design I'm doing here by drawing a pattern onto a India ink ground, and I'm going to be offering a surface design course that focuses on making processes and making. this summer at Loyalist College in Belleville for 1 week. It'll be a 1 week intensive. Loyalist College has residences. I don't know what it costs to stay in them, but it eliminates the difficulty of having to find a bed and breakfast or a cottage or something like that to stay in, because they have housing built in. And anyway, you can find more information either on the Loyalist College website or my website. There's a link to the I put a link to the page where you can find out more information and register or send in questions. I'm happy to answer questions about the course, to hear also what you're especially interested in, but no administrative questions to me. Those all go to the college. No special requirements or prerequisites for taking the course. This is open to any adult and enthusiastic teens. They just have to really want to be there. Yeah, I'm getting down there now. So the papers we'll be making in that course, which is, I think, called Designing Your Own Papers, to beautify objects and surfaces, including collage. They're perfect for incorporating into collage and mixed media work. I mean, I'm doing mixed media work here, and I'm basically making a collage paper. But we'll have other projects too, like notebook cover, a box with a lid. Jewelry is a possibility, certain simple jewelry. Well, you can make it, there are ways in which you can make it more complex if that's your thing, but it the basic structure will be simple. Got to join the triangles up. Don't like it when it's gappy. Another course I have coming up very soon, an online course. So, you can join in from anywhere if the time is manageable for you. Is an Altered Books course, making new art from old books. It starts on Wednesday, March 4th. Runs from 6 to 9 p.m. and will run for 5 weeks. So the last class will be Wednesday, April 1st. There will be replay videos available for 6 months after, in case you need to see something again, or if you had to miss a class, or you get interrupted and you want to pick it up again. I'm almost done. Look at that. Woohoo! This will be the last row. Fun. Such a good feeling making it to the end. Yeah, so the Altered Books course, once again, you can either go to the Loyalist College website or to my website, kimleyco.ca, and courses and events, and you'll find it there with a button that takes you to the registration page and the page that has the materials list and so on. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. I think, oh, where did I put it? I think I'm going to take a photograph of this, actually, because I'm going to be cutting this up, but I don't want to miss out on the digital possibilities for this. There we go. There's my photo. It shows the shine, the sheen. Anyway, that could be very useful. For those of you who don't know, I also work digitally, and kind of digital mixed media, and photographically, photo digital. Okay, so let's get the, I'm going to turn this over because that's pretty dirty. Let's get this red shape out here. Move it up so you can see it properly. Now, where's the gray stuff? Here's the gray stuff. What that looks like in behind. Oh. That's interesting. I wonder what this looks like in behind. You know, it's kind of, it's translucent, the paper, but it's kind of faint looking, the image behind it. At this point, it's clearer the tighter it is to the underlying layer. But if I use acrylic medium to glue them together, that will clarify the view. And I'm just wondering if, no, I kind of like the way that looks. Right there. So, I know I had a bottle of, I think that's it there. Yeah. So this is what I'm going to use, Liquitex Matte Medium. Gloss will do the most clarifying, and you can always apply matte medium over it. But this is what I have handy, so I'm just going to use it. And I am specifically using Liquitex because in my extensive testing of different brands of mediums, Matte medium is made matte by the introduction of lots of tiny particles that scatter the light. And I just briefly, yeah, so the particles scatter the light. And the problem is that the particles interfere with the clarity. And so the more layers of matte medium you put on, the foggier and foggier the underlying layers will get. And some matte mediums, it's foggy from the first coat, and it just gets even more so. This one, I'm sure, would build up to that, but it starts out remarkably clear. So yeah, so I'm going to try this and see how it turns out. Yeah, I think I'm just going to glue the page on. I just want to position it in a way that's satisfying. Yeah, okay, like that. So I'll put a little tick here, a tick down here, a little corner mark, oops, and a little corner mark. There we go. That way I know how to cover. I'm going to cover it with medium. Let's see if I have a wider brush. Use. Yes, I do. It's not a pretty brush. I do have a wider brush. Okay, now let's switch to the overhead camera again. Sorry, I should have switched it when I was before I made the marks. Okay, so I've got a couple of tick marks here and corner marks down here and here. So let's see about see how that wet part of the red shape is becoming more intense looking because the paper fibers are getting more transparent from the medium and the water content of the medium. Now eventually the water content will dry. Don't want to overwork it, but you do want to have it fully covered and evenly coated in medium. Making sure I'm getting the edges too. Just put a little bit on my brush. Okay. Very good. So now I will match this up with the corners, corner marks I made. Okay, now to smooth it out. Ah, yes, it's going to wrinkle up as it absorbs the water. That's okay. Now, I'm using the decoupage technique of collaging, which means that I put some medium over top as well. I'll trim off the excess later. Oops. Gotta be careful because there's a little thing of black ink over there, and I've got to try not to spill it onto this. All right. Oops. What happened there? There we go. Okay. So this needs to dry. Well, let's take a look at it. Just flip it over temporarily. Ah, it looks like there's a spot. You see there's a spot that's paler right over here. There's no glue, not enough glue. It's not making contact there. So I've got to press it in. Okay, let's see if that has helped. Well, I might need to put some in this direction. Okay, let's decoupage it on this side too. There. That's going to be better. There, look at that. Now, that transparency will reduce. I'm anticipating that it will reduce as the water content evaporates, but it won't disappear entirely. It will maintain some of that transparency. There we go. I'm quite liking this tea bag paper. This is literally the first time I've used it. It's actually the first time I've used it. I don't know why I used the word literally there. Sorry, that white is just the underlying. So what I will do is I will hang this on my magnet board. from some clips so that it has a little air able to get at it both sides. I'll be back in 1 second. I love having a magnet board. I find a million uses for it. It's a nice, decently big one. There. That can dry now. Well, and I see that it is almost time for this to be over. So, in the last couple of minutes here, I will take my silver and gold jelly roll and just maybe try drawing. Yeah. Sorry, you can't see that. So I'm drawing with the silver on this one. And I'll fill in these triangles. I'll just fill in one on camera because time is running out. There it is, so it'll have a nice metallic shine to it. There, you can sort of see that. The gold will stand out more. Oops. My precarious house of cards of piles around me. Something's given way. Oh well. There's just always so many things I need access to. Not necessarily all in one session by any means, but have quite a few things on the go. I have we're installing, my partner Kat and I are helping install a show at the Redhead Gallery in Toronto, I think on Monday or Sunday. And we each have a piece in it, and my piece I have a little grinding left to do, and I have to put the hardware on it. So I've got like a Dremel tool and bits for it, and there, so that's the metallic gold. So I think that could be quite fun with the filled in triangles. So that's an idea too. Okay, well it's 3:30 I see, so I'm going to switch to this camera. Thank you to any of you who were able to join me today, even for a little while. And of course, for those of you who are joining me after the live, it's nice to have you here. As I mentioned earlier, I will be offering another live in March, date to be announced. The date will appear on my website, and the link to the replay for this will also be on my website under courses and events. And please check out the classes I'm offering, both online and in person, this spring and summer. Okay, I hope you're well. Stay creative. Stay curious. Find joy. Find a little joy as best you can in each day. Make a little joy for yourself. Um, it's a massively important survival technique. Okay. Thanks. Take care.